Hello, everyone. Father Jared coming to you. I just wanted to make a video encouraging all the parents out there to bring your children to Mass, no matter what their age is. And even if you think that on some days they can be rather big, just troubles for you and for those around them, or even if it seems like it's more than just every once in a while, want to encourage you to continue bringing them to Mass because one, the most valuable thing they can see you doing as a parent is to see you praying at Mass and see that Mass is a priority and important to you. That's first of all, that's a great witness, wonderful way for you to build up their faith. And then secondly, also just a great opportunity for, all of us to kind of experience the church from cradle, from the very beginnings of life to those who have been with us for many, many decades. And so it's just this great experience of old, young, everything in between, and it's an amazing thing to have churches that are full in that way, as we do across our family of parishes, and which is just a beautiful, wonderful thing to see it that way. And then, along with that kind of theme is that also it trains them in how to act at church. Sometimes it's when they get older, then they'll be able to behave more correctly, and it's maybe. At the same time, until they actually come to church and they know kind of what the expectations are, they're never going to learn. They're never going to figure that out until, they're there for real. And I understand there's good reasons why. Maybe sometimes mom and dad split up and all that kind of stuff. So not anything with that, just an encouragement there to say that as pastor, and I know all the other priests do not mind having them there. I mean, as parents themselves probably get used to kind of tuning out some of that background noise of kids playing and all that stuff in the background. Same thing for me, you hear the kids cooing or maybe just a baby crying, no big deal to me. I can keep going without much problem. So, and I think all of us can learn to do that as well, just kind of to keep on pushing forward, be able to pay attention and all those things. So it also is just a great opportunity for us to, as a congregation, as a community, to just sacrifice, to say, you know what? I'm glad the kids are here, and so I can give up hearing a little bit of Father's homily for this, or I can, seem a little bit distracted. I can offer that up for that parent and child and be grateful that they're bringing them. So just want to express my gratitude to all the parents for bringing your children to Mass, because again, it's a great thing to have in their family parishes that so many people do come to Mass. So yeah, just want to encourage that, and also want to encourage the parishioners out there too to just say thank you, because I know sometimes it doesn't happen that often, but it can be a rather unedifying experience whenever a parent may hear from somebody keep those kids at home. Again, doesn't happen often, but it does happen. And so I just want to encourage parishioners to encourage parents to bring their children to Mass. So that's just so important and so fundamentally important, to say important again, but only important for building up their lives of faith. And then in relation to that, some people have kind of asked, well, why don't you greet the kids as they're walking out of Mass, as you're walking out of Mass, or things of that sort. And so I wanted to kind of give a little bit of a clarification there as to why that is. So Mass doesn't really end until, the closing hymn has ended. And with that, Mass is the most important thing in my life. That is the most intimate moment I have with the Lord in my life. That is what each of your priests has given their life for, because it is so fundamentally important for us. Mass is what I've given up my life for, and that's why I go into the confessionals to make your celebration, your experience of Mass more fruitful for you and also more fruitful for the entire church. And so really everything I do is ordered towards that, towards the Mass, which is the source and summit of the Christian life, as the Second Vatican Council told us. And as such, going into Mass, I'm trying to prepare myself for, the most powerful thing that happens on earth. Calvary represented, the resurrection happens again. All of that is present at the Mass, and the priest is asked to take that upon himself to be in persona Christi. And so he's carrying a heavy load. I'm trying to get myself into kind of into kind of a mindset that's yeah, okay, I got to celebrate Mass. This is what I got to focus, got to get centered, got to kind of get into the zone, so to speak, the prayer zone, the sacrificial zone for what the Mass is, which is a holy sacrifice, representing Calvary. And as such, that's why, going in. And then as we're walking out, like just literally stood at the cross of our Lord and poured out the graces and mercies that he was pouring out through his blood, through his passion to all of you, and also as the graces of his resurrection to all of you. And so as we're processing on the Mass too, like again, Mass isn't over yet, but even more so, but it's even just like, I'm trying to decompress because, man, I need like 20 seconds to go from being priest victim, and being like offering myself at the altar with Christ to being, kind of dad and being that friendly neighborhood priest, right? And so just want to state that like that's not anything against your children. And in fact, like bring them out back afterwards. Like one of the great things about our new rotation is that we have time. We have time to greet each and every one of you after Mass. And so like bring your kids back after Mass. We'll give them a fist bump, a high five, talk to them. Yesterday I got a great conversation with somebody, with a child about, reptiles and favorite snakes and all that kind of thing. That was great. So just know that like we're still making that space. It's different than maybe what it has been before, but we are creating that space there, and we want that to be there for the kids, and we want to get to know your kids. So again, that's not us shunning them. That's just us trying to keep the Mass sacred, because that's also, again, it's a great thing for your kids to see you praying, but it's also a good thing for them to see their priest praying. And, like over time, that'll teach them just how important the Mass is. So also know that we're also just trying to set an example there as well of reverent prayer for what happens at Mass. So just want to kind of make that abundantly clear. So I hope that clears up some things there. But like I said, so it's great to have your kids at Mass. So please keep bringing them. Please keep inviting them, and also like to everybody in the pews, like continue making space for them. Like sometimes it can be a little bit hard for families to find space. So if you're on the edge of the pew, and you're by yourself at that time, like scoot on in and invite in some of those families. And so just a great experience for us all to be together. So in the Lord's presence, and to offer, to just offer our hearts to him so that he might set them aflame with love for him and spread that to everyone around us. So with that, I hope each and every one of you have a blessed All Saints Day. So remember that we're all called to be saints, and maybe we'll never be canonized, but that's why we have All Saints Day, as a reminder that there's many, many saints who have gone on before us that we don't even know. But they are fighting and praying for us even now. So with that, I hope everybody has a great beginning to their week and a great beginning to the month of November. And just know my prayers and know my prayers and love for each and every one of you. So God bless.